Hello, guys. Good afternoon. It's a joy to be here with you today. I'm Fernando Dantas Cortez, the cast for Banco do Brasil. In this past year, I have worked for 10 years before this period as a product management portfolio and innovation for cash products. And today, we're going to talk about how the market involving cash management generates opportunities for businesses. It formats our market for the following years. This question that is showing to you on screen is key for us to have this understanding on how this market will be like and perform along this period. The cash management market is safely saying, financially speaking, is a market with most constant modification and the most dynamic market. And what we see here is, in the past year of mine with my clients, I surfaced this NPE specific business market. And when we sit down to talk to this client, a very valid question to ask is, does your business have future? How do you see your business in a 5 or 10 year period time? The way you have your business conducted, will it be still valid? When I look at your service, is it physical, face-to-face? Does it need to continue happening face-to-face? Are there opportunities for you to involve any kind of treaty involving bots, applied artificial intelligence, machine learning, in which the phone interactions take place and generate learning to your company in terms of service? This artificial intelligence perform the service in a better, more spontaneous manner based on feeling. And when it involves those tools well applied, what we have is something that you'll soon notice immediately, that nowadays it's not done to perfection. Sometimes we interact with a bot and we're on WhatsApp and there's a picture of a human being. But when a service process starts, you can clearly see it's a robot. You input the necessity, what you need to be serviced upon, and immediately the below service is, how can I help you? You had just informed it. When I talk about automation tools involving bots, I'm not only talking exactly about that, and neither that situation we have with Google, that artificial intelligence by Google doing a service that you really can't. So some opportunities between perfection and what we have available today to improve. What we also talk about with this entrepreneur is, are you prepared to perform your sales in a virtual process? Here, we can see it and take it to an extreme. Well, Fernando, do you want to propose that this is held some kind of sale in the metaverse? No, if evidently it's an opportunity that needs time to mature. However, we have opportunities here in the marketplace, more recently speaking, in sales using social media, digital marketing. So this talk we have with these managers and entrepreneurs is, do you see your business not only from a sales standpoint physically, but virtually? Inside the country and abroad, you can see a lot of entrepreneurs in China have great mobility to perform sales all around the world. Here we still have opportunities regarding that and more. We talk to those entrepreneurs, and if you have capacity to have an assessment done for structured data, all the interactions you have had with your clients, and that process of what did the client buy, when, how did they buy, you take advantage of that information to generate a future business opportunity. And lastly, those entrepreneurs, when we talk to them about this subject, when they're discussing that cash subject, is this entrepreneur prepared so they can execute sales and fulfill their business without the client being circulating in an environment, a traditional environment, not visiting their store or a site? What we're talking about here is the one that is the IoT example. In South Korea, it is an experience not recurrently, but definitely with more incidents than here. That, for instance, purchases that involve supermarket, you don't have to go to the supermarket. You do the shopping, you execute payments, you fulfill the whole purchasing experience at the fridge door. Here you can even see what is in your fridge. This may seem silly, guys, but when we look at a financial market and cash products, I won't have the client there with the credit card, to perform their purchase. This somehow will determine how this business model for this entrepreneur whether it will work out or not. It's scary, right? Most times when you are amidst this conversation, to bring this perspective on what the business will be like in 5-10 years time, sometimes these entrepreneurs, they look back at us with a question mark in their faces asking, am I really prepared? It is important, guys, to consider not all these things upon a threat perspective. The impossibility of getting things done and not having a successful business. We have to work on a positive perspective in two fronts. We here that work closer to the financial market to work so products are taken adequately to customers, so this digital experience has been in the best way possible. Evidently, these entrepreneurs have to have a reflection upon their own businesses, so to evaluate whether these businesses do need adjustments to move forward with proper, adequate results and so on. What is behind all this, guys? All this talk I have had with you today, what is behind that? When we see processes on cloud or structured data stored in the cloud, when we talk about IoT, in which we don't even have to leave home to get some shopping done, your own device or gadget will demand from the other establishments so something is well supplied. When it comes to machine learning or artificial intelligence and automation in general, what is behind all of this? Part of the market treats that as a fetish. Yeah, no, I want to have this bought service because it's what everyone is doing. But what is behind everything is lost, and it's the concept of convenience. Why is all of that being done the way it is being done? You see great effort from the financial market to bring our solutions towards the tempestive service online. You see many big techs are bringing solutions. You notice that credit card companies are working the whole process of facilitation for the means, yeah? And why is that? So the final end consumer does not miss the opportunity to spend more time with their families, to be more time with their concerns regarding work. Going through these moments, they are at home. So when it comes to convenience, it is a very important concept to be within our minds, because once we discuss how the financial market formats their cash products and how those diverse intervenients, it's important to say this. We think only about banks, yeah, this ecosystem. Towards we're talking about as many players as possible. We're talking about banks, management systems, the RPs, payment gateways. We're talking about facilitators for payment. We're talking about software houses. All those mediators that used to orbit banks, now somehow they go back to working with banks to bring that banking experience without friction. And this effort happens Because when you see this person is sitting down here watching television, working at their computers and just, doing homeschooling with their children, they would not be at that moment if they had been shopping. So you can see that experience. And on the other hand, you had the IoT experience in which you perform purchasing. I had the satisfaction of doing shopping the minute I left my parents' home, and I started having my life experience after that moment. Now it's a sacrifice, and I feel that for most of you, having to go to the supermarket weekly to perform shopping, and it must be not very pleasant moment, and IoT delivers that convenience. And evidently, when it comes to IoT, the whole payment process embedded in it delivers convenience. Who of you likes to go to the bank? And I work at one, so I mean, not the INSS queue, but any experience you have to leave home and go there and perform that job and come back, it takes time. Those previous experiences I showed you, they have the final purpose of replacing this for this. More time home, more time with family. Guys, what we have here in financial terms, we have these solutions more recently that started being released. We have the advent of the PIX. It's not a movement that happens individually. Only in Brazil, yeah, China had already developed instantaneous payments. If you read more recent news, International Bank of Settlements have initiatives to have international means of payment. So think, guys, when we have an international PIX, which is being drawn out by the International Banks of Settlements, have you came to realize that the purchasing experience, imagine you would have to perform a PIX here for a seller located nationally. Imagine being able to do that through China. Can you imagine the impact of this for the Brazilian salesperson? This already happens rather recurrently when you see companies such as Shein and Alibaba. This already has an impact in sales. I already had experience of purchasing that in China and arriving before than if I had bought it in Brazil. This movement I'm talking with you about, bringing this reflection, when we see cryptocurrencies, CBDC, all these initiatives being national or supranational, what is being sought is the ease of circulating money. When it comes to contactless solutions, which through a watch or the very phone itself you can perform payment. I was even joking here because I had to deliver my document, and my document, I put it behind my back cover. I don't walk with my wallet anymore. I only carry my document because I had a problem with my app for digital documents and I was not able to use it. From that moment onwards, you just perform the touching, sometimes with something wearable, and you do the payment. Notice that all the ecosystem for product and cash product development, they have been going towards a disappearing bank experience. You will be observing that on a very simplified way, the matter of payment. The purchase is done, it's a moment of tension, you have to perform payment, and the client doesn't like paying. So the less sufferable this process is, the more efficient it is and more convenience. The concept that I previously mentioned is delivered to the end consumer.
So here, products, and this area has many touch points between the financial department and the technological department. And here we are discussing something that is more closely related to the business models of those companies. Again, when we have contacts with our customers at Banco do Brasil, and when we talk to them and tell them on which channels do you distribute your products? What are you distributing? So does anyone has to go to your store, see that um, at a showcase and get a product, or do you sell online? How do you work on that? Is it important for you to have this? And we must assure that the company has capacities of being able to address their customer wherever they are. And sometimes the customer is on an Instagram journey, and Instagram is good at it because in the end, it will bring things that you are fond of. And in the moment where you're informally navigating through Instagram, that's the moment where when the sale appeal takes place. And you will understand why I'm talking about that. And in financial world, it's no use having this entire experience if the customer navigates through our Instagram account and see the product, and whenever they are about to pay for the product, then an error takes place. And you must have experienced that on Instagram. Sometimes your card is not accepted, sometimes the bank security is not efficient enough, and this is a challenge that I pose to the entrepreneur in the financial part. So this is how entrepreneurs should operate. I mean, the system must not fail at the moment when the journey is taking place. In my previous example, I said about Pix solutions, and here is where a Pix solutions, in the moment where you are approaching your customer, you would sell your product, and then the customer would pay for your product, and the thing happens, and the delivery is given or made to the customer's house. And another business model issue, if you can work properly on the transition between your businesses in virtual and offline environments, like the O2O approach, and as entrepreneur, do you have the ability to, at the right time, bring a certain experience? Well, it's a largely known experience like Starbucks. So whoever has already been to Starbucks, you see Starbucks at every corner, but all of them are packed. You get there just for a coffee, you cannot do that. And Starbucks might say, oh, we have a problem because I have this bottleneck in our brick and mortar stores, and we are always rushing in New York, and then no sale is made. But if the store is available online, the customer can place their order online and get the product right at the brick and mortar store. And you just take your thing and go away, because all the payment, the entire journey is made online, and that would represent just 15% of a certain entrepreneur's increase. But just imagine how much the income of a chain like Starbucks would profit from by doing this online approach. But now, just to close our speech, in order for us to be able to deliver everything that we've just approached, like O2O strategy, so that we could have this multi-channel approach, what is key? We should work on payment methods online. So if the company where you work at is not able to manage a bank collection document that will be sent to the payment maker, and if the customer is not able to make the payment right away and get the information at the very moment, you should evaluate things. Or if your customer is not able to generate a Pix code for the instant payment, then you are going the wrong way. It's a fundamental element for your success, because we spent the past 20 minutes talking about things that are taking place, right? Like you are getting to your customer wherever the customer is. We are working on the financial system to generate that opportunity, and that is already a reality in Brazil. When you're talking about direct debit and cash solutions and bank collection, Pix, all of these solutions can be offered on demand at real time. So you will have that information in real time, and you have the logistics clearance forever is being sold right away. So you must be able to work with massive data. You have to have this data analysis work being done, and this is what is generally populating all the database of companies nowadays. We must be able in our companies to untangle that amount of information and know what Fernando Dantas bought, how much, how often, because that translates into future competitiveness. If you know that Fernando always wants a certain specific ice cream, make it happen that that approach is returned to Fernando whenever he is buying another ice cream the next time. You must have processing capacity, because if you in your company, and this is something I relate to my customers, if you are able to do that right away, that will scale your process, because there is so much processing going on here. But if you fail to have that processing capacity, again, your business gets stuck and you get it into a bottleneck. And for this all, the last and perhaps the second most important concept that I bring you today is that everything that I have already mentioned is very hard for you to do alone. It's very complex indeed. So something that I tell you in the next 5, 10 years that we'll be very intensively working on, that means consolidating partnerships. If you're not able in your company to have a system that is robust enough and ensure a broad processing, look for a partner that is able to take care of that for you. Otherwise, if you do not diversify your markets through O2O strategies using omnichannel, then you won't be able to reach your customers. And there is the point where you have to look for a more digital partnership that can put you at the right place. So the financial market used to be, not long ago, a market where only the biggest banks would smile, but in the future that will be less and less the reality. We will have many company profiles. Again, we have these payment facilitators, payment gateways, marketing, digital marketing. All of these companies will be working to offer this entire customer experience for you. And if you're not good enough or do not have the capacity for that, look for a partner, because it will be very difficult for you to have all these capacities in a single point. And if everything that I told you can be made by a single company, and many companies have that capacity, then that business has a future. And we see that it's something that, if duly adjusted, then you'll improve your operation. And if you improve your operation, you'll notice that, for instance, if I told you that 5 years ago, and this is the sort of market that I used to work back then, and we had that payment slip that was given to the customers, but all these topics were topics that have recently taken place, but this process has no comeback. We have to work very hard on that way. So these are the challenges. Partnership is a good way for us to overcome these hindrances and generate a more sale-oriented market. So I thank you very much. I'm Fernando Dantas Cortez. If you want to talk to me, my LinkedIn account is Fernando Dantas Cortez, and I will be around. If you guys have any interest in talking to me, just grab me somewhere here.